But what we have done in this pilot phase is identify 4 geographic locations. We might expand that. I was just talking to him.
The provinces?
In the provinces, yes, okay, where the farms are located. And we've identified value chains that we care about. What we always do with policy, I think one of the key things that get missing usually with policy, if you just make policies broad stroke and you're not intentional about it, it's hard to measure your result. So for us, we've identified key geographic locations in our hubs, and we've said, let's look at 2 value chains that are very important to us, rice and maize. Okay. In these locations, the expert will tell you, the way this works is, you will take a geospatial coordinates of these areas, get historical data of rainfall or drought. In this case, the insurance will ensure both drought and excessive rainfall, flooding. And there's a threshold agreed that below this, in terms of rainfall, that would be drought, there will be a payout, a trigger payout, or above this rainfall in terms of that's flooding, there will be a certain payout, right? And so somebody can come in this area now. By the way, this is on now, starting June 1. People, the information is out there. He will give you the information. It's out there for you to go register. You go, you call a number, you ask for the, you negotiate with the service, with the insurance service provider, what you want to cover. You will name, you will say, I'm in this location, then they know the rainfall average there. You will say, I want to cover X value, which is maybe my input. I know I'm going to spend 10,000 leons in my inputs this year. I want to cover that. And then you pay the premium, which we're suggesting 8% of that 10,000 leons. And that's it. And then what ends up happening, if there's flooding, regardless of what happens, if above that threshold that you've talked about rainfall, you will get a payout. The payouts can go all the way until the maximum, depending on how much rain above the payout, right? And this is all something that you agree on when you sign up for the insurance and pay that premium. Basically, that's how this works. And we really want people, we're going to try to get out there, do sensitization in the communities. This year, we want to start entry points with some big aggregators. You know, there are some people that organize farmers that pay for them the premium because they are also the ones that will share the information and spread the word about how this works and what to expect, and so that when the payout comes, they can also be the ones to collect it. Because right down there, smallholder farmers, they're not going to be skilled enough to even fill the paperwork and know all the nitty-gritties of it. So
who are the aggregators?
These aggregators can be anybody that is, you know, knows about this information, number one, can read, can fill the form, and organizes farmers to produce for them, and they take that, process it, package, and sell. There are a few of them in the space. There are some individual farmers, yourself, Phoebe, if you want to support 1 or 2 farmers, you can fill this out for them. They, you know, all of these things, this can also happen at that level. But that's who we're talking about that will be able to spread this word. And as I said, this is phase 1. My hope is when the UNCDF or EU money runs out, I'm going to bring this to government, actually before it runs out. So that's why I'm very particular about the data, understanding what's happening. I will bring this to cabinet for governments to take this and make this a key part of what we're doing going forward, which is why I'm very excited that this pilot will follow it. We will be pragmatic and learn lessons, but we want to spread it because it's so key and fundamental to the feed salon story.
We'll come right back to you. Festo Siwa is with us, and he's the Managing Director for Activa International Insurance. Farmers work on a calendar. Time is of the essence to them. Planting season, it has when they should do all they're supposed to do. And if there's a delay in anything, it does affect the output in the end. One of the bumps in insurance is the delay to get your payout when there is an issue that requires insurance payout. What's the difference with the weather index insurance as opposed to these other insurance situations? Again, understanding that farmers work on a calendar.
So thank you very much. Thank you for correcting the, I'm Festo Zewu, I'm not Ibrahim Chai.
So, sorry, it's our mistake.
Yes, welcome. So yes, the difference is the fact that, of course, it's technology based, and you don't really need to show that there's damage to any crop. insofar as the thresholds are hit, and there should be a payout. Now, in terms of the payout, we're trying to use mobile money, using the mobile money platforms to be able to issue all the payment as quickly as possible. The Honorable Minister made mention of aggregators. Aggregators may not necessarily be, it's groupings. So it could be the Farmers Federation, it could be Nyanda Agricultural Enterprises, it could be Solidaridad. Insofar as the group is able to come together and be led by somebody who really understands issues, that is how come we are going to use the aggregators. So usually when these payouts, these thresholds are hit and the payouts are triggered, we will pay through the mobile money. So it's not just like go and bring a report for us to determine whether there was really a damage or not. That's the major basic difference between the normal one and what we are writing now. Now we understand that yes, the farmers they work within a period. Of course, during the planting season to the maturity. That is the same calendar that we use. And so we expect that from June 1, when the policy we start issuing that, of course, the farmers will come in, and of course, it's for the whole season, planting right up to maturity of the crops. So yes, that is how we are going to plan these.
The other challenge there is, it says that you do pay out when there's a change in the weather pattern, if there's excessive or low rainfall. But what would you rely on to get this data?
Okay, so there's an international satellite data which provides even historic rainfall patterns over a number of years. And so that is what we are going to use. And we are going to share that with the aggregators, the Sierra Leone Insurance Commission, and other partners who will be using this to be able to obtain the data for us to all use. It's transparent, and of course, when it's transparent and easily accessible, we can all be able to see the data and be able to check whether the threshold has been hit or not.
So, peradventure, there's excessive rainfall or low quantity of rainfall. What happens if those who have subscribed to the insurance do not experience any loss at all? There's no damage to the crops. What happens then?
Yes, of course. I mean, the usual thing is that people will think that the money should be paid back to them. But we should see insurance as a pool where the premiums of many are, provided or put together by the insurer as a custodian. And then when there's the experience of, let's say, a claim of few, it is paid out of it. Of course, we should also be thinking about the sustenance of the product over the years. We are not here only to insure it for one season, and that should be the end. So this mechanism is able to allow the insurance companies to be able to mobilize funds even ahead of time to ensure that the product is there over time and is scalable over time.
Sorry, just let me
go ahead.
I think I got that's a very important question that you asked, and I think that's the beauty. I think you touched on one aspect of the insurance, but I think what Phoebe is asking, which I think is the beauty about this insurance, which is for as long as that threshold is hit, whether your crop is destroyed or not destroyed, you will get a payout. This is that's the beauty about the index weather insurance. It's a different kind.
So it's different from?
It's different from, go show me your car is damaged. There's a threshold. If it's hit, you will get a payout. Now, there's also a level in the amount of payout that you get, depending on how much more than the average, what you've agreed on. So if it's really super excessive, then it can be up to a point where 100% will be covered. If it's just a little bit they're trying to say, okay, there's so much rain, it's gonna have this much, but there's so much flooding that we know all of the crops were destroyed, so you get the 100%. But if it's just a little bit more, you get a small payout, which they will calculate. I think that's what she's trying to get at. Plus all these other things that you're talking about, that's educating people about what insurance is, which is for insurance to work, which he said, people have to pay the premium, they hold it, and you anticipate and hope not everybody needs the payout at once for certain types,
Yes.
right? If you do, then you empty the coffers and then nobody then pays. I think that's what he was.
Yes.
You've chosen rice and maize
Yes.
as the first two crops to benefit from this insurance. Why these two?
That's an excellent question. As I said earlier, we want to be very intentional. Rice for us is priority number one in terms of crops in the feed silo strategy. We want to reduce importation. We want to provide every little support to our local farmers to get confidence, to be bold, all the actors to invest to make sure that happens. For maize, similarly, maize is for poultry feed. 70% of the feed for poultry comes from maize. This is also one where there's so much momentum there that we think if we just push it over the hedge, we will be able to reduce. There we're very bullish about that even. And just speaking of intentionality, just last week, what the cabinet paper that we passed, which is on the demand side of this, the demand pool side of it, is that for children ages 3 to 6 years of age, enrolled in school feeding programs, they will get 1 egg per child. That's making sure the demand is there. Now we're on the supply side of the product itself, we're providing this support. So that's why we want to be very intentional about how we provide this little support to make sure these things add up to meet the goals that we have.
Festus, what can the farmers insure? Is it the input, what they're putting into the farms, what they're investing, or is it the output, the potential profitability of the entire investment in the input? Okay,
so it depends on the reason for taking the policy. It could be the investment for the inputs. Of course, some aggregators provide seeds, let's say improved seeds for planting. And so, of course, maybe they wish that all the improved seeds could be planted. However, if that is not going to be the case, or they are afraid that any flood could destroy it, then of course they could insure based on how much money they use in procuring the improved seeds. It could also be that, well, the inputs that he, apart from the seeds, fertilizer inputs, other inputs that were provided by other people, or he is investing, you could provide that as a sum insured or value to be insured. It could also be that you are going to obtain a loan from a financial institution, and then, of course, the financial institution would want to have some confidence that the loan being given would be paid. And so sometimes they use the insurance as a backup for providing this loan. In the course of time, we intend to, scale up the product to include yield insurance or even livestock insurance. We'll get there, but we have to do that in phases. That is how come this is the first pilot phase, and we'll be scaling that up after each phase, yes.
Because I just wanted to ask just what Mr. Ward just talked about, I mean, scalability to expand the project, to include more farmers, particularly the provincial areas. Are there plans for that? Because you just touched on that briefly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think...
So it'll be unfolding by phases.
Yes, well, definitely. As we started, this is the first, for as long as I know, this is the first.
How long does this first phase last?
We have $2-3 million from the EU to run this. So depending on payouts, but my hope is after this 1 year, with a lot of the data and information that we'll get from this, I'm going to bring this to government, for governments to have a stake in it, officially to put some money in it. We can look for partners to put more money, but we want government itself to put money in it. And the areas of scalability that he's talking about, we will include more regions, we would include maybe more value chains. And then there are other types of insurance. Once people are used to what insurance is, that they can pay the premium, that if something happens, they can get their money back. There are other types that are a bit harder to do that we will include in terms of scaling, right? He talked about livestock. That's a critical part of our strategy. We can't leave that out.